After the signing of the Lake and Riley Act, that's the wildly authoritarian, you can ignore due process, any accusation against an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant sufficient for their arrest. It's a whole, we've gone over it, okay? But anyway, they're going to Gitmo, folks. They're going to Gitmo. They're going to Gitmo. It's happening. Alien and Sedition Act 2. Isn't the Lake and Riley Act literally based on the legal precedent of the Alien and Sedition Act? We're going to send them out to Guantanamo, the president said in the White House East Room. He did not elaborate. That's good. He said Wednesday he's directing the opening of a detention center at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to hold up to 30,000 migrants who are living illegally in the U.S. and cannot be deported to their home countries. This is a video of a statement. Thank you. I was about to go looking for it. Would have taken me a second, but you were there.
I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
This sounds very inexpensive. Surely this will lower the cost of eggs.
This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of. Today's signings bring us one step closer to eradicating the scourge of migrant crime in our communities once again.
Also, I am unaware of any 30,000 bed facility at Gitmo. The famous Guantanamo Bay detention camp is quite small. It's like less than 1,000 people. I am unaware of any like gigantic 30,000 bed facility in Gitmo. Also, keep in mind there are limits to how much they can build out there. Like, we're literally basically at gunpoint holding this land from the Cuban government. I mean, we have it legally because we paid them for it, and we keep sending them checks that Castro was never actually cashed. Also, 30,000 is like nothing compared to the total number of undocumented immigrants in America. This is a torture camp that's going to be used as a stick to scare the remaining undocumented immigrants here in America. Remember, and I'm holding true to this position, okay? I believe this. The goal here is not to actually get rid of all these undocumented immigrants who are vital to the economy, but rather to terrorize most of them by very violently, very publicly abusing and getting rid of a small minority of them. And building a camp at Gitmo to get rid of the ones that can't be deported back to their home countries, like Venezuelans, I assume. Seems like how they do it.
And for all. And it was just it's just an unforced error that we even have to be doing this. Now we need Congress to provide full funding for the complete and total restoration of our sovereign borders, as well as financial support to remove record numbers of illegal aliens.
Also an incredibly fashy show of power. It might also just not happen at all, like at all, because I genuinely do not know of any 30,000 bed camp. Camp 7, that's where they held people at high detention. Camp Iguana, Camp X-Ray was temporary. I don't know where is there. Does anyone know what he's referring to? Any massive like tent facility? Is he literally just mean like they have room to put tents there? There's Camp Delta, X-Ray, Echo, Iguana, Bukele, I think, and Camp 7. I don't think any of these have that kind of space. Not even close. He's probably equating camp to tent. Yeah, probably, but they certainly don't have the tents out there. Well, if they were going to build a death camp, this would be where they did it. I mean, the total size of Guantanamo Bay is 45 square miles. How much of that is leased to the United States? It's 45 square miles of land and water. So I don't even know how much land they could even... Look, I can tell you one thing for sure. One thing for sure, it's going to be very expensive. Very expensive. Okay? A lot of this, they're not getting the government to handle it, okay? They're going to be contracting the shit out of it. That Gitmo Starbucks, the famous Gitmo Starbucks, you know how much the people there are going to get paid? Oh, you have no idea. What the bro, the venti latte from the Gitmo Starbucks got to go crazy when force-feeding unlawfully detained prisoners is the vibe. Do they have a special promotional meal? I wouldn't know. I'd have to go there. Is there a drink called the Waterboard? Yeah, pretty horrifying. Well, you know what I would do? I would simply not do fascism. But I'm just a different kind of guy. Besides that, I just want any kind of information on like where the 30,000 people will even be so I have a better idea of how much this is complete bullshit, you know? I just want like an idea of what the odds are that any version of this actually happens. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo. No, you fucking don't. They're going to prepare a migrant facility. I just don't. There are 15 detainees still at Guantanamo Bay. Bro's still here and the party ended an hour ago. Like I said, 30,000 doesn't even come close to how many undocumented immigrants they want to send back. My only hope is that extremely overt acts of cruelty, which will no doubt be leaked at Guantanamo Bay. You have to understand, okay? There were leaks from Guantanamo Bay back when a lot of the guys they had over there were Al-Qaeda. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of the people they held at Gitmo, first of all, no one should be held at Gitmo ever. Due process of law for everyone. Second of all, a lot of the people they had over there were totally innocent guys. Like, no proper charges against them. Totally insane shit, you know? But even in those environments, there were still a lot of leaks. How many leaks do you think there would be out of the amount of personnel that would be required to manage a 30,000 bed concentration camp full of, for the most part, regular ass guys? Like, you can no longer do the whole, like, every one of these guys did 9/11 bit, you know? Like, at least with Gitmo proper, back after 9/11, you had everyone who was brought in there. People were like, well, this guy's Saddam Hussein. I mean Bin Laden, but they probably said that too. They're essentially going to be maintaining a concentration camp. There's going to be leaks. We're going to see unimaginable cruelty. My only hope is that it leads to a lot of backlash, you know? Like, if it ends up happening, I hope it leads to a lot of backlash. Keep in mind that the family separation policy under Trump's first administration actually did lead to a lot of backlash against him. Like, most of it was from Democrats, but there were a lot of photos and videos out of, like, children huddling in, you know, the the Texan desert under, like, you know, those emergency survival blankets, the, like, reflective ones, you know, that ran about in media. The space blankets, yeah. That were, you know, pretty, I'd say, compelling. Is it even a good idea to stay in America? Like, in general? It's getting pretty crazy over here, man. Yeah, and then Biden happened, and now Dems are also anti-immigration. Yes, but even Biden didn't keep the family separation policy. That was, like, an over-the-top cruel policy by the Trump administration that caused a lot of backlash for basically no gain. You know? What does backlash even mean against Trump at this point? People are still more malleable than you might think. You know, people are still more malleable than you might think, especially because a lot of people who support Trump, or at the very least, like, don't really care that much about Trump, are delusional about how much the bigotry of Trump supporters comes back to affect them, right? Like, a lot of support for Trump comes from Latin people. A lot of support for Trump comes from women. And the more, opportunities Trump and his base are given to demonstrate how much they hate these groups, the more opportunities there are for people to go, well, I didn't think it'd get this bad, or whatever the fuck, you know? Are they stupid? Yes, I'm not defending them. $25 eggs. That's the hope, at least. I don't even like eggs. My birthday is coming up. I'm going to have to make a no-rise vegan cake at the rate the egg prices are going up, you know? This is anecdotal, but my professor today said his neighborhood, which is predominantly Hispanic, has been getting MAGA militia patrol trucks on top of ICE raids. Yeah, that sounds about right. Brown shirts. Bob Menendez got 11 years of prison. He should have gotten more. Trump announced the new detention center at the U.S. military base will have a capacity for up to 30,000 people. Okay, so he's talking about building a new base. Do you know how long it takes to build? Okay, again, because we're not just talking about building a base that can hold 30,000 people. We're also talking about all of the logistics necessary to feed and provide for that number of people. And you have to build the damn thing. And it's at Guantanamo Bay. Everything has to be shipped by boat. You can't bring it by truck like if you're building this down in El Paso or whatever. You have to bring it in via boat. There's a whole thing. This is to funnel money to private prison contractors. It's crazy that the best case scenario here is that we hear updates from the prison every day by the Trump administration of how bigly it's getting, and nothing ever happens. And, like, somehow $45 billion get funneled away to the construction companies, which are all private, of course, all engaged in, like, no bid contracts for the job. Well, in the meantime, okay, you know what you need to do? Don't look immigranty. Remember that right now ICE is being given the permission to do, like, adjacency arrests, where even if you're not on their list, if you're around them while they're conducting their arrests, you know, they're going to stop you. They're going to go after you too. Will they go after a guy who looks like me? Probably not. Will they go after some of you? Probably not, because statistically speaking, you're white if you watch me. I see the YouTube demographics, okay? But some of you, you know, some of you, yeah, you're caught. I am black. Don't say that. They'll see.